Sam had to face Summer Jordan Martin Keown. Martin tried to manipulate the statistics while we were in the break there to try and hammer Frank Lampard.
Was I?
It sounded like it. Did it sound like that to you?
Not
I think it did.
That's the thing is, that's where we're different. You see, I'm not separating Frank from Everton. It's like it's about the players, and the manager, of course. But you look at it and you think it's not just going to go away, is it? All the problems just because of one.
I know, but they'd won 1 in 15 before he turned up, and they've won 4 of 9 since he arrives. That's pretty impressive turnaround.
But if you make,
games.
Some of the narrative about Frank, then you take some of the pressure off the players, and that's how Frank releases that pressure back onto the players by shielding them from it. Surely that's part of the argument.
He released it last night by breaking his hand when celebrating the deep stoppage time goal last night.
Well, it was. I mean, I was celebrating as well as a former Evertonian player. I mean, I don't often jump up quite the way I did last night, but it was a beautifully worked goal.
That was fantastic.
Lewin's involvement. In fact, as soon as he came off the bench, okay, maybe have injury issues at the moment. Richarlison put one across the box. He gets on the end of it, and don't underestimate his involvement for the goal. And Iwobi just tucked it away. And you can't really be sure Iwobi when he's in front of goal what is he going to do. I'll be absolutely honest. The same thing happened in an Arsenal shirt, but on his left foot, what a finish that was. Really measured, under pressure, and they just hung on.
How pivotal could that goal be?
Yes, it could be very pivotal because it's put Everton in a situation where we kind of spoke the other day, myself and Martin, about the 2 fixtures that were coming up and really needing to possibly get 4 points out of these 2 games. They lost the first game, obviously. They've now got a win against Newcastle. They've got to play Burnley and they've got to play Watford. Norwich are gone, so let's factor them out of the equation with all due respect to Delia and a club that I've very much warmed to. But the bottom line is that they're competing probably with Burnley and Watford to stay in the division. Those are probably the real narratives. Leeds can be dragged into this as well, I grant you, and perhaps Brentford as well. But I really think it's Everton and the other 2 that we're talking about. They've got it in their hands. They've got an FA Cup tie against Palace on Sunday, which interesting scripts get written here. I mean, I wouldn't advocate that Palace are going to get beat by Everton because they're my old team and, of course, they're in decent nick themselves. But the FA Cup writes strange scripts, and Frank Lampard being able to get Everton to an FA Cup semi-final sort of gives him a sort of Frank Lampard feel about achievements.
It's Vieira versus Lampard, isn't it? I mean, what a fantastic narrative.
It is in your narrative, but I don't think so. I think it's actually Palace versus Everton, and Palace are a lot better at the moment. I really like the look of Palace. They look tough. If there's a team
beat Millwall in
the signature of their manager,
to Liverpool and Chelsea.
Yeah, really strong all over the pitch. Thought they were magnificent against Man City. The way they just keep progressing, as a team, they look really difficult to beat. 2 very good central defenders. One of them now just getting into the England squad, getting the acclaim that he deserves. So, and Patrick, I feel will fancy his chances in this one. There's no doubt about that. What was a problem for Everton last night? Allen getting sent off. I thought that was really quite harsh. That VAR should even get involved in that. Yes, it was cynical. It was very cynical.
It was a ridiculous overturning of the decision when you factor in that the same a VAR official decided on Saturday that Robert Sanchez, who had basically kung fu kicked Luis Diaz in the chest, didn't deserve an upgrade from a yellow to a red on Saturday, but that did deserve an upgrade from a yellow to a red. I can't factor the consistency there.
Do you think there's a carry effect there that ultimately you look at the previous game, realise that potentially you haven't done what you should do, and then you overcorrect the pudding?
He's overcorrecting.
I think the referee last night had a great view of it, and I thought he just made the right decision. It was a yellow card at most, but Allen's going to be out now for is it 3 games? It must be if it's a straight red card.
Serious foul play.
And he's a vital cog in the wheel for their team. I think he's a really outstanding midfield player. Does not get enough credit.
Into referees. If referees feel that they made a decision, irrespective of the VAR interjects, they can still push back, can't they?
Yeah. Well, he went over to look at the monitor as well.
Good look at it, by the way.
And then decided to come back and take what the official in Stockley Park had told him.
I just love it for once. One of the referees just said, "You know what? I know. I don't agree. I don't agree. I'm happy in the moment. I've made the right call," and I think then to change it there, he got it wrong.
Yeah, but he was in the right position. He didn't need the VAR to tell him what to do. He'd already seen it. I don't understand. He was right there. He felt the speed of the incident. He was very close to it. He didn't need somebody else to tell him.
But this is why the whole protocol of VAR this is why the whole protocol and the application of VAR is wrong. It should be the referee calling for the VAR to support a decision if they want to. Yeah. It shouldn't be the other way around.
Referee can, by the way, go to VAR whenever he wants to. I've spoken to one of the referees the other day. Why don't they do that? Why don't they ask, I don't feel comfortable, something's wrong,
why don't
go?
The whole protocol is that the VAR is driving the referee rather than the referee driving the VAR. The referee should be saying, I've got VAR as an alternate methodology to support my decision, or if I'm in doubt, so I'm going to call for it when I want it. Now, if referees don't call for it, they get adjudicated on not using the tech that's available to them, but not the other way around.
Fundamentally, you want really good refereeing in the moment, and when a referee gets it right, to override that, like he did last night, is totally wrong.
Yeah, but you should only override it if there's a real serious error.
But
and
put
that was
yourself in a
supposed to be
referee's
the
position,
idea.
okay? You've acted in a moment. You're acting at speed, just like it's like a driver of a police car that passes the advanced driver's test. They're trained to drive at speed, right? He acts in that moment, and then someone's in his ear that's got the ability to be able to look at the information slightly differently, and has got the benefit of tech, telling him that potentially he's got to look at it differently. Now, put yourself in that situation where you've made a decision, you think you're right, and then someone who may have a better view than you gives you that doubt.
But Simon, if you're Craig Pawson, you've seen a track record of Stuart Atwell, who, as a VAR, has made several mistakes over the course of the season. If he's telling you to have a look at it, you could turn around and go,
Sam, you're in the middle of a stadium with 40,000 fans screaming at you in the middle of a moment, okay, and all of a sudden you're going to look back through the catalogue of this guy's CV and go, well, actually, this guy's a bit of a clown. He makes decisions in the past.
You'll know for a fact that he's made poor decisions even over the course of the weekend.
I think you're overlooking people's ability to be able to retain
all
that.
of that's okay. The analogy you create is all fine. But then the referee looks at it. He goes and looks at the monitor and says, no, do you know what? I was right in the first place. I'm going to stick with my decision.
Absolutely.
It's about time we started seeing more of that.
But that goes to the heart of what we've discussed about referees having the character and courage of the convictions and the personality. Sometimes you get these referees to a stage. There's an argument that Harold Webb was built up to a stage where he became someone that was unassailable and got ahead of himself. So you've got to get the balance right.
When are we going to actually hear the feedback, the workings out, how they get... I mean, if you're watching the rugby at the moment, it's fantastic. You hear everything. They're on everything. We hear the discussions. In football, it's like being in a locked room waiting for someone to make a decision.
Because in football, the culture's not different to rugby, right?
So why can't the referees tell us their workings out?
We do hear it.
You and I hear it. The culture of
it.
football doesn't lend itself to that, does it?
In rugby, the culture. We're listening as a broadcaster.
I'll walk you through what I mean. What I mean is that the culture of rugby waits for a decision, respects the referee's authorities, the players respect it. Now let's back it into football and say who respects the referee's decision, who respects the culture of football, the players.
Would you respect it more if you understood it and you heard it?
I think there's a balance between providing information and how that information is received.
Because we hear it.
So you're going to get people questioning the information that's being provided, booing during the consultation process.
No, maybe not this time. Let's give them more respect.
Whilst people are deliberating.
Let's give
much better.
A little bit more respect to our audience and actually just a bit more grown up about it. And let's have the same as what they have in rugby, where we can hear the workings out. And it's much easier for us to then to understand the decision they come to.
I understand what you're saying, Martin, but that's like the
utopian
world that we all live in.
Simon, it's got to come. They promised us.
The reality of the real world is that we have a different culture.
We were promised that in 2 years' time we'd have. We're now 3 years on from when they told us that we were going to hear this workings out.
Yeah, but that's to do with the IFAB, not necessarily the PGMOL. The IFAB set the VAR protocol.
But we do what we want.
The reason.
Hold on.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do. We were able. Yes, we do. We were able to adapt and look at the VAR monitors 2 years ago, and we decided not to. Everyone else in Europe was doing it. We decided to take our own version of VAR and implement it the way we wanted to.
That's a bit of guidance, and we were told in no uncertain terms by the IFAB they changed the laws of the game in order to make sure that the Premier League stuck to the protocol. They changed it because we weren't doing it.
For some reason, we wanted to do it differently to everybody else. Correct.
But anyway, the reason that we were talking about in terms of culture, you were saying about fan culture, for example. An example of that last night actually allowed you to see the goal, didn't it? I mean, there was this weird protest that we had last night at Everton where someone ended up strapping their neck to a post. We had a delay of 14 minutes for that. I mean, it was a very strange scenario. None stranger than the geezer that walked out from the stand, the Bullens Road stand, with a pair of bolt cutters, industrial-sized bolt cutters, to take off a cable tie off someone's neck. And if you see the video footage of it, he got very into it, didn't he?
The only time I've seen industrial-sized bolt cutters is when we used to get Martin Keown's wallet open.
You're out of order. I'm always buying breakfast here. No one buys me breakfast.
Who bought you breakfast this morning?
You did.
Right, okay. Well,
there we are then.
That's the biggest U-turn I've ever heard in
Sam, you don't count, Sam.
Boris Johnson-esque in the moment.